Step into the ring, it's Monday Night Fire. My rhymes burn hotter than a funeral pyre. I'm the heavyweight champ, you can call me sire. Reviewing raw like a southern rap messiah. Crossing over lines like I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin. Flipping opponents like I'm Randy Orton. Dirty South flow, my words they be costing. Every verse I drop got them head nodding. Spit lyrical punches like a ruthless fighter. Got the crowd hype, I'm the crowd igniter. Breaking down the raw matches, no denier. Dirty style rap, I'm the Monday night supplier.
What is up, fans, friends, window lickers, grunts friends, my friends, the chaos goblins, anybody who's out there and well, you're an avid viewer of this little production that we got going on, the Monday Night Raw preview show with the window lickers, brought to you by In Your House. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a fantastic promotion to be a part of. We have a lot of creators out there. We're doing damn near 6 shows a week. So are you signed up? Are you subscribed? Are you on all the likes and the buttons and all the things that get you connected to us so we can have even better times on the Sunday house party, for example? This past one was a banger. We had so many people in the chat and we got a little sneak peek of something that we might be in the mix with. If you were there, you know what I'm talking about. We might get a big ECW get, and who doesn't like talking ECW with us? So without further ado, let me bring in some guys that, well, if you're here, you've seen the show that we do, you kind of like it, at least you're tuning in. You got some of these guys. Look at them there. They're handsome devils. They are. We got Kevin Calloway, the Chaos Goblin himself, and the blue-eyed villain, Grunmeister. How are you doing tonight, on this Monday night, hour before they go live? Night, fellas.
Doing just fine. How about you, Josh? How about you, Kevin?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing well.
Kevin?
I got a whiskey in hand because it's election eve, and I probably want to forget what happens next.
You know what? A lot of people might. Can we just fast
true.
forward 6 months, please?
Yeah, well, Cartman did that, and a bunch of things happened, and
but it was Cartman.
It was Cartman.
It was Cartman. Let's be honest. He farts in the wrong direction. Shit's going down.
Wow, Grun, you have this very rageful thing towards Cartman today.
Because he's an asshole on the worst kind of scale.
Hey, and based on what you said earlier, if he was an asshole and then his asshole farts, like, is it a double thing that makes it bad?
Ooh.
Might be. Yeah. Given it's Cartman, yeah, it might be.
That's a possibility. I mean, Cartman is he's different. He is a different human being. And you know what? To go off of what Kevin's doing there with whiskeys, I want to throw this out there because I didn't even talk to you guys about what we're throwing out first.
Yeah.
What's your guys' favorite whiskey brands?
Oh, shit. Oh, God. Oh.
Here we go. Let's get into this.
Okay, I have to go last. I have to think.
All right. There we go.
Oh, fantastic. So I don't necessarily like whiskey, or at least I have not found a whiskey I like. I am more of a lager beer drinker.
Okay.
I prefer Yingling when it comes to that.
Okay.
Well, what is the most exotic beer that you've had, Grun? Then we'll go into that because so you're out of the whiskey talk.
Yeah.
So we'll just get your beer talk done with.
There was a craft beer bar that I went to for my 10-year high school reunion.
Okay.
It was something like a lager. It was all right, but I couldn't tell you the name of it.
You're really into the more lager beers and things like that.
Yeah. So far, that's what I've discovered, that lagers are the ones I like.
Okay. I like it. I'm gonna go with this. See, if I'm gonna go personal favorite, where I'm just gonna sit down and have a drink, I'm going Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace
Okay.
is one of the best out there, but I have started to fall in more of a journeyman's whiskey because I
Ooh, okay.
really thoroughly love that place. I've been there. Go out there and check it out. It's an amazing distillery. The tour, I highly recommend it. And the Buffalo Burger, highly recommend that thing. It is so delicious. They also on Sundays have a what do they call those with the tomato juice and the vodka? What's that drink? Like,
Bloody Marys.
yes, they have a Bloody Mary bar, and you can get like blue cheese stuffed olives, all that, all the fixings you could want. But those are my two favorite. Now I don't know if you've had this, Kevin, Eagle Rare.
I have had Eagle Rare.
I had that in Chicago for the first time. My brother-in-law, he waddles up to the bar and he gets these things. I find out they were like $35 to $40 a shot.
Eagle Rare is it's
Oh, it's so good though. It is so good.
I know I win the most expensive bottle I've ever had contest.
Oh, here we go.
And that's only because one of my friends in the wrestling business, he used to do liquor distribution.
Oh,
So he got deals on some things and some bottles. So I ended up, because I used to work before it went under, there was a place around here called Masonic Temple. And
okay.
every Halloween, they would run the biggest Halloween party, and it was called Theater Bazaar. And I used to work there as security because wrestler. They always hired wrestlers as security because the guy who did a lot of the like stage managing and things, he was a wrestler. That was the same guy that worked in the liquor industry.
Oh,
So during the last Theater Bazaar, I actually think it's the last Theater Bazaar that actually happened because it ended up going under the next year. Or dormant, or whatever's happening with it. He and another wrestler friend brought a bottle of Glenfiddich 19 year, and that is a $400 bottle of Scotch whiskey.
wow. Man.
We all pretty much took shots of it, so we emptied about half the bottle, and then my buddy looks at me and he goes, "Give it a nice home," and then he gives me the rest of the bottle.
Oh man. That's awesome. That's
And I'm like,
awesome.
"Are you sure?" Like, I'm looking
Yeah.
around like,
Oh yeah.
"Is this
Yeah,
legal for me?" Like, "Are you sure?"
yeah, you definitely have to be there. I mean, with a bottle like that and the amount of time that it took to make it,
Mhm.
and I mean, we know, like if you've gone on any whiskey tour or anything like that, you know the importance of these aged bottles.
Yeah.
And I actually, it's not in my studio, but I found it at a yard sale down in Mississippi. It's a
Mhm.
bottle of old wine called Nostradamus wine, and
Oh,
it
I've
was
never heard of it, but that's an amazing name.
it had sulfates in it.
Okay.
And when I was reading into it, some sulfates, if ingested with liquor, can make you hallucinate. So it was kind of like it was it was bottled back in 1908, and
So
I
they
had it
probably
like,
didn't have the science for that yet.
yeah, it was like I didn't trust it. I have not cracked it. I will probably
Coward!
never. Yeah, I would never crack this thing. Like, I don't know, man. You have to see the bottle. The bottle is like all kind of deformed and stuff. It's got a label on it and everything, but
So
and
you're
I
bringing that to the house party, right? Because I'm not
oh
there.
no. I don't even know if I would travel with this thing. Like, you could, I've been pulled over with the greenery before, and it might have looked like it had something on it, and they tried to charge me with having
Alright, fair enough.
psychedelics and stuff. So I don't know what a bottle of Nostradamus wine would get me, but
Probably nothing. They don't know difference.
yeah.
But that's the smoothest. But back to the whiskey, that was the smoothest whiskey I've ever had. But my day to day, I love to get this whiskey. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's from a brewery actually around here, New Holland Brewing, who does Dragon's Milk.
Oh,
They do a whiskey called Dragon's Milk Origin.
okay.
It's about a $60 bottle of whiskey, and they age it in the Dragon's Milk barrels before they bottle it.
Oh, Okay.
Super smooth. It's one of the best whiskeys I've ever had for price point, I think.
Well, what's the aftertaste on that?
It's not a beery aftertaste. It's very smooth aftertaste.
See, that's what I
Probably
was
it's
thinking.
like an oak barrel, but you don't get like a shit ton of oak to it. It doesn't
Really?
punch you in the face with oak because it smooths it out with the stout that is in the barrels.
That's interesting. That'd be something I would be interested in trying. I like
House
a lot
party's
of those.
coming up. Maybe maybe a boy can hook you up.
Interesting.
It's a Michigan
Grun,
whiskey, so
you'll be over in PA doing whatever PA
he doesn't drink
people
whiskey
do.
anyway.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
don't even
exactly.
drink whiskey. We'd pour
Oh,
you a shot. You'd be like,
I-
I'll bring you dragon's
Where's
milk
my-
next time, Grun.
I've had
Oh.
Jim Beam and do Tullamore.
Oh, okay. Tullamore, yeah.
Tullamore, yeah.
Tullamore
Jim
Dew, I think.
Beam's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's not bad.
To me, it's what you drink when you're in high school and you know nothing about whiskeys.
I think
And
it's a
that-
mixing whiskey. So I have my categories of mixing
Okay.
whiskeys and straight whiskeys. Like the ones
Okay.
that I put in a glass and the ones that I can make a good drink out of this.
Okay.
Tullamore
Gotcha.
Dew, I think, is one of those mixing whiskeys. And it's a good mixing whiskey, I think, because it doesn't have a lot of overpowering flavor to it. It has
Right.
almost more of a, it's not watery, but more watered down flavor to it. So I don't want to put it in a glass with more ice because I usually like mine cold with a rock. I don't want to put that in there to just dilute it more.
Listen to this sophisticated
I mean, you know what?
Listen, you
Actually-
started this talk.
I did talk to, I did start this. I did.
So those are my mixing whiskeys, like the Jim
Okay.
Beams of the world, the Jack Daniels of the world. Those
Yeah.
are the mixing
Okay.
whiskeys to me. Those are the ones that are
Gotcha. Okay.
probably cheaper because you're not really looking for some high end taste to
No.
it. You're,
Right.
You're just
your
looking to get
an ends
fucked
to a
up.
mean
You-
is
yeah.
really more what you're going for.
Yeah,
It's part of an equation to get a good result.
Yeah.
very true. Wait, okay,
Okay.
before we end off this subject, okay, we're at the bar.
Mhm.
What is your guaranteed you're going to enjoy it no matter where it's made or beer wise? What's your go-to, guys?
I told you, Yingling.
Yingling. So you're
Yeah.
just a Yingling guy.
He's a beer
I'm
dude.
a yeah.
Hey,
That's
hey,
fair.
it's respectable. I'm a 7-7 with 2 limes.
Ooh, 7 and 7's good. I'm either a straight whiskey pour because I know what whiskey I like whatever whiskey list they have. If they have it, I'm gonna order that. But the one that's near guaranteed I'm gonna enjoy it is any kind of mule.
Oh,
So that'd be
okay.
your Moscows, your Kentuckys, your whatever they're calling it that day.
Yeah.
Whatever mule they make, anything with a ginger beer, like liquor with a ginger beer in it, I'm probably good.
You're there. Okay, I like it. I like it. Those are some decent drinks. I would drink all of those. I would not have a problem if that fell in my lap and someone said, "Hey, that handsome devil down there just sent you a whatever mule we got here or this Yingling." I don't know, Grunt. I might not talk to you if it was a Yingling, but whatever.
Damn.
I mean, I like
Hey,
them. They're okay.
Hey,
I
it's a good lager, and
Dude.
it's a Pennsylvania American-made lager.
You are 100%. I agree with you. It is a fantastic beer, Grun. But here's the thing. I had an alcoholic mother and an alcoholic grandmother, and they had me for my first 5 years. I washed many dishes behind a bar. I've had beer put in my cup. So, I'm kind of out of beer for
okay,
life.
fair.
I
Fair
think I'm
point.
good. I'm
All
good
right.
on that. But I love it. We got Lou jumping in here. What's up, bearded window pissers? You gotta.
Oh, we're
love
not
it.
licking anymore. We're going downstairs.
Oh
Yeah,
god.
yeah.
Oh,
Andy's also
Oh.
chiming in. Grun, he's with you. The Yingling is the best. Watch your tone. All
In
right.
fairness, I do think Yingling out of like your tiny like your Labatt's, like your party beers is how I describe those. I think Yingling is one of the smoother ones I drink.
Oh yeah.
So
It-
I'll put Yingling over for that.
all right.
Yeah. I'm a Miller High Life guy. I like
fair.
the champagne of
Okay.
beer.
Well, you got to live the high life sometimes.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Nah,
That was always
my
the running
grandma-
joke for us in college is we're about to live the high life, baby. And then we would just pick up
Dude, we had when we had 6 guys living in one apartment, we did this thing called Edward 40 hands.
oh,
And
it
yeah,
wasn't just you, brother. We played Edward Wine Hands.
Edward
And
Wine
it
Hands.
was
I like
2 wine bottles.
Yes. Dude, did you guys add on if you finished?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there could be, depending on your tolerance and everything, you could have 440s on one hand and maybe 3 on the other. Who knows? Whatever you can
We did
consume.
so we did it a little bit differently because we didn't want to deal with people pissing their pants.
We
And we
found it
couldn't
funny
figure
to
out the
unzip each other's
solution for that. So what we
Oh,
did
it's
instead
gross.
to add on is Edward 40 hands was generally a punishment for like a fantasy football, you got last place,
Ah,
or like if the winner could pick someone to do Edward 40 hands at the next party. That
gotcha.
was the stakes for fantasy football before we all had money.
Mm.
And
Okay.
we would do that, but Edward 40 hands or Edward wine hands or whatever we were playing at the time, it did not disqualify you from any party shots that happened.
Oh.
So you had any shot that was called, any punishment, any whatever, you had to do any other additional bevy that was
Oh
my
coming up at
God.
that party,
Wow.
including those hands.
That's awesome.
Oh.
That's awesome. Yeah. The only
how many-
punishment with
Oh,
Edward
we punished
40
people.
hands.
Oh, Grun, it was oof. Where I come from, Pinckney is unforgiving.
And how many times did people swear off alcohol the next morning?
Oh, every single time, and then it was the next weekend. They forgot
Yeah,
immediately.
you're right back at it. Edward 40 hands happened again.
Welcome to college.
Yeah, it's just life. That's what happens. That's awesome. I absolutely love that Edward 40 hands was a thing that we both have from our past. You had Edward wine hands. That's fantastic. The only punishment for that was the bathroom situation.
Yeah.
So whoever like fucked up during the house, they had to be on a bathroom detail for whoever had Edward 40 hands, and it was a salad tong, and you had to unzip the zipper with your
Jesus.
hand, but you could pull the wiener out with your salad tong, and that's how we, escaped the unpleasantness of that venture with
Our
Edward
general
40.
strategy and how we did it was whenever you finished a 40, you could have it untaped. So the general strategy was chug the first one as fast as you could, like as fast as humanly possible, so that you could get a chance to pee.
Yeah. Hey, that makes more sense. I mean, we just strap 40s to our hands, and then if you got another one, well, you got 2 on your hands now, and you got to figure it all out.
You got to figure that shit out.
Exactly.
We're all problem solvers here.
And speaking of figuring things out, we're going to go on to Crown Jewel, everybody. So this is obviously a Monday Night Raw preview show after a PLE. We've had them before. So usually we typically talk about the PLE. My co-hosts obviously have what they want to discuss. So let's get into Grun. We heard what me and you kind of liked and what we didn't like about this Crown Jewel. So Kevin, why don't you kick us off and tell me a couple of highlights maybe you found of this PLE, and then if you want to just go into your topic right after that,
Sure.
you're more than welcome to.
Sure. I think the highlight to me, I really enjoyed, because I looked back at some of it actually today during the time I had while I was playing Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate. Shout out. Great game. I thought Cody Gunther was a really, really good match. Like more, they went harder than they needed to for it, because it seemed like a lot of other people, I don't want to say treated it like a house show, because I don't think it was that level. Like I saw some people commenting that online. I don't think it was house show level where they were just, faffing about. But I think it was very inconsequential as a pay-per-view, except for like 2 stories. And one was Bloodline, which the match itself was what it needed to be. I'm not going to say it was anything spectacular, because we're still in like act 1.5 of that entire thing.
Very true. Very
I think
true.
it's inning 4. I think we've moved up to inning 4.
Maybe. But it did what it needed to do in sowing the chaos between Sammy, the Usos, and Roman. It did everything it needed to do for that. And it's very clear now that they're going to go with Sami Zayn in that role. And I know I've been outspoken about it. I would rather it be within the family, but if they're going to go with the Sami Zayn route, go all in with it. Do something interesting. And it seems like they're going to go an interesting route with it, where it's not just like, hey, Sammy's back. Yeah. No, it's going to be a bit more than that. So I'm gonna reserve judgment on that one.
Okay. But you were so far at the base of it, you're okay with how they're introducing it.
I am okay with how they're introducing it, in that they're kind of sowing seeds of dissension first. Like Sammy's almost getting courted by both bloodlines, and then he turned on one, but then he kind of didn't effectively join the other, if that makes sense.
No,
like it looked like he was about to, and then he kicked Roman in the face. So what happens next?
Yeah, exactly. And we got Lou chiming in. He I like the split Jay and Sammy and Roman and Jimmy. Okay.
I saw a graphic somewhere that was like, Sammy trusts Jay, Jay trusts Sammy, Jay trusts Jimmy, Jimmy trusts Jay, and then like Jimmy trusts Roman, Roman trusts Jimmy, and then like it's just like so much chaos in between this thing
that they
we don't know exactly how it's going to pan out yet.
Yeah. I personally think they just need the wise man in there. He's going to mellow out a lot of this. And I think
that's going to end up being what does it.
Yeah. Okay. So at least we're on the same type of wavelength.
I just don't know. So then my big question coming out of it then is, where does Hikuleo fit in?
Yeah. That is the puzzle piece that is out there, and nobody's finding a fit yet. I mean, like, how do you truly bring somebody of his accolades already, and that's just physical stature. I mean, the man's a specimen. How do you bring him in and make it make sense within the story that you've already built up? Grun, do you have any thoughts on the first part of what Kevin was talking about?
With the Cody Gunther or the
let's do Bloodline.
Yeah,
Bloodline. Okay. Yeah, so I definitely think that this is a good route to go down. I agree that I think Paul Heyman's going to be involved, hopefully in the build up to Survivor Series War Games. I think that they Josh, you said that there needs to be a moment between Jay and Roman, and I think I thought we had that moment, but I think it was just a taste. I think it was just step one of Jay and Roman getting back on the same page, and we are just now in the next process of Jay and Roman getting on more of the same page than before. I think Hikuleo will be brought in by Paul Heyman after Solo Sikoa says, "Fine, we'll fight you in War Games, but it's gonna be 5-on-5." Roman asks, "Who's your fifth?" We hear the Rock's music hit, and then Roman says, "I'm going to call somebody, and he's going to get us a fifth member." He calls Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman says he found Hikuleo.
Okay,
I think that could work.
That is a possibility of the way it could work going into this, because I mean, War Games technically gives you a giant canvas to where you can blend any of this together. And the ultimate thing is that ultimate battle in the center of the ring. Was it 2 rings, 2, 3 rings, 4 rings, whatever they got going on in this War Games. But my question to you guys, because it does seem like we're going to have one bloodline versus another bloodline. Do you think putting a 5th member into this on both teams is overkill? Is there a possibility that can be too much?
Can I pitch something in this question?
Yes.
My pitch is that Rock isn't involved as much as we think he is.
Okay.
Because I think The Rock is more involved with Cody than he is with the bloodline. So I'm not saying Rock isn't involved by proxy. Let's say he might be involved in War Games because Cody is. But coming out of War Games, I feel it's Rock Cody. It's not Bloodline and The Rock
Hmm.
versus Cody. Bloodline is off with their own thing. So if I'm looking at it like that, it's okay that War Games goes that way, but maybe War Games gets swayed by Hikuleo. Maybe Solo in that bloodline wins because of Hikuleo.
Ooh.
Then you can
Oh.
try and sew anything with, find another member for the OG bloodline, whatever you need to do. I think it's potentially also a decent idea, and I know I mentioned this before, is sending Solo on his way and making Jacob Fatu the leader of the new bloodline. This is also a moment to do that, because at any point you can supplant Sami Zayn within that OG bloodlines, because he can go off and do whatever he needs to do if you have other plans for him. Put Solo back in the OG bloodline like it always had been. And now Hikuleo is taking the place of Jacob Fatu because Jacob Fatu is the new tribal chief in waiting.
That's an interesting picture painted there.
I know that takes a lot of moving pieces, but my main thing is I just don't see The Rock fitting in as much in this story as he does specifically with Cody. So then if I'm looking at that, how can I book around it?
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see the pop for The Rock, and for them doing that, if they were going to do that. The interesting part of it to me though is Kevin Owens. He's floating around there. There's a chance he could be a part of the new bloodline for a War Games. I mean,
at least the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Exactly. And he would be getting all of what he can off the old bloodline in that match, being just Kevin Owens like he's always is. So I think that's where I'm seeing it more towards. I see The Rock showing up though.
Yes, for
at
sure.
Survivor Series. I do see that. If they do not go the KO way, I could see this exactly. The Rock's in with the new bloodline. That's where they go with it. They're going to sell what they need to sell with it. And The Rock to me is somebody, when he comes in to do something, he's much like a Cena. He's going to uplift the product at what you got going on. And then like we seen with the last WrestleMania thing, he made his own new thing in this out of just because the fans didn't want the nice guy. Hey, how's everybody doing? They wanted the asshole Rock that we all fell in love with back in the day. The dude almost decapitated Mick Foley in front of his own children. And then
what we know about concussions now makes that a very hard watch of a match.
Oh, it does, because I just rewatched this because I heard Minion and Undertaker talking about it on a podcast.
Oh, on the 6 Feet Deep podcast? Yeah, yes. I listened to the same one.
So I went back when I got home and I was rewatching that exact match, and
it's not an easy watch now.
God, no.
It wasn't an easy watch then, but it's harder now, arguably.
Yeah, well, I mean, come on. Back then when it was happening, I know personally I was in the phase of everything is fake on WWE. They do he's mankind, you know. But then to like actually go back and watch it, like, oh my God, there's so many of those.
What I know in the wrestling business, it made it worse for me.
Yeah, I'm not as deep as you, but I do talk to guys that are, and it's like, oh my God, like, why would you do like Mick? There were so many more ways for you to make us love you. Like, we already loved you at that point, man. But you know, we move on from that. I do believe that
we'll move on though to the next thing I was talking about with the storyline, because that directly goes into my subject that I want to talk about.
There we go.
And that is Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed.
Yes.
So Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed had a match at Crown Jewel. Was it Crown Jewel? Yeah, Crown Jewel.
Yes.
I can never remember the name of every Saudi pay-per-view. So they had a match, but so Seth beat him pretty clean, for the most part, pretty clean, but not really definitively somehow. Because he stood back up, bleeding out of every orifice in his face.
Yeah.
Still looking like he wanted more. So Seth may have gotten the pin, but it took him 3 curb stomps to put down this absolute kaiju of a human being.
Very true.
So I guess the question that I'm posing to the class, because we have I believe tonight we have a fatal 4-way for the number 1 contendership,
Yes, we do.
which I'm sure we'll talk more about later with the subject that we had last week that we didn't get to.
Yes.
But with Seth Rollins being in it, I think that begs the question. I don't think this feud with Bronson Reed is over. So that means something happens in this main event. Assumingly, of course.
Yes.
Where do we go now? Because we threw fisticuffs. We've thrown lots of finishers already. And I almost expect this to be a 3-match program based on how they're running it. Where do we go from here to ramp everything up? So I know we talked a little bit last week, Bronson dragging in bodies, Bronson dragging in, people from Rollins's past, his wife, like so many things. I think we're too early for some of it, especially Becky. And that's my opinion. I think we're too early to bring in Becky if we want a 3-match program.
Okay.
But what does Bronson do to keep it interesting, to take us to the next pay-per-view or to the next match? What do we get to amp this up?
Oh, interesting question. We got the boss himself, not the final boss, but our boss, the Concept House. How are you doing, my friend? Thank you for joining us. We are talking a little bit Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins right now. Grun, why don't you give your thoughts on this? Because I know you're a big fan of both these guys, and you absolutely loved exactly what these guys did, from my understanding, on the house show. So go ahead and let Kevin know your feelings.
Yes. So I personally thought that Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed, that was match of the night, because while it was more angle than match, it served the exact purpose that it needed to keep Bronson Reed relevant in the most important ways possible. And I completely agree. It's too early to get back involved. So it's like, okay, where is the middle ground? Because if Bronson mentions Rue, I feel like that is going. I feel like you'd be going from talking about Seth's wife or Seth's baby to Seth's wife, which is like, no, I think if you're gonna do that, it should be the other way around. But so I'm like, I don't think Bronson's gonna go after that, but maybe I don't like. I don't know.
It's hard to put your mind in Bronson Reed's mind.
This is a common booking issue too. Is how do we give them something more without taking it too far? How do we give them something without giving them too much?
Yes.
I'm looking at what we have right now with Seth Rollins. Okay, Becky Lynch isn't in a ring. She's not doing anything.
Nope.
So let's like you said, push that. If we're going to use that angle, we're going to save that for later. But what does Seth Rollins really pride himself on nowadays? To me, it's fashion.
Sure.
He comes out in these big, dramatic costumes and things, and people love him. Bronson Reed's burning his luggage. He's just making everything so horrible for Seth, just getting him to that point, like we were talking about earlier with trolling. You basically make him a giant troll fucking with Seth, and maybe even give him a little humor to it, to where he's like, I didn't do that. What are you talking about?
You know what? Let's show off his strength a little bit more.
Okay.
Instead of burning those costumes, we can have some of the costumes that he can make replicas or whatever we need for the actual thing. If he needs to keep the original copies, throwing it out there. But in order to show off his strength and how much of an absolute, again, kaiju that he is, let's have him rip them right in front of the camera. We don't need to burn an entire stash of them. That's
Okay.
not large enough for a man who can actually show off his strength.
No, I like it. I like that.
Just like Hogan rips the shirt off, like let's have him rip those costumes right in half.
Yeah. I mean, like let's think about this day and age. Do you have to be physically violent? Does he have to do something like in an idea of he's destroying this man's family? No, he really doesn't at this point. And I think you're bringing it right there. Like show his brute strength in whatever you're going to destroy as Seth Rollins. Whether it be, and I'm just going off what I'm seeing every Monday Night Raw with Seth Rollins and what he comes out and the way he acts. He doesn't have a title on him, so you can't do anything with the title. Oh man, House just stopped me here. Bronson, what do you say on that
Break
one?
into his house?
Yep.
When
Break
no
into his
one's
house when no one's
home.
home.
So
I don't know if we're to that level of personal
Brian
feud
Pillman.
yet.
No, because I do agree that would be that's like
That's third
that
match.
yeah, that's like
There
might
we
as
go.
well
There we go.
that's like might as well have Bronson Reed break into Seth's home, Becky lying unconscious, and Bronson holding Rue.
That's a scary sight.
That's
Well,
a
is-
scary
what
sight,
you
and
just
that's
painted was
like
scary.
that would take Seth to I will murder you harder than I've murdered and harder than anyone's been murdered ever.
Oh yeah.
But that explosion doesn't need to happen right now. We have to build,
it's not
and
too
they've
much.
done such a great job already building to this match that they had. And like you said, Kevin, that last image of Bronson Reed standing up, I likened him to a super villain, but not like the one that has all these special powers. What do we got Lou saying? Go ahead and read it off, Grun.
Maybe not a good one, but have Seth win the number one contender match. Reed stalks him in the back, waiting for the right moment. Seth faces Gunther at the next PLE, which Reed screws Seth and is now costing him the greatest prize in WWE for Seth. Keeps it moving. That might be the answer.
If we're going to do that, I wouldn't do it at the premium live event. I would have the number one contendership match on Raw because that's not the draw of the match for Gunther and Seth. I don't think it's believable that Seth will win that match because Bronson is stalking in the back.
Right.
So I think you have that on a TV match, not a PLE, but it's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
You could have Seth win this, and then he faces Gunther, and maybe not next week, but maybe 2 weeks from now, before the next premium live event.
Yeah,
maybe like the week leading up to, like the week of the Survivor Series. Like
I would do it before that because I think you really want to build up Bronson and Seth for Survivor Series.
Okay. All right.
Because that way you give enough space in between it. You don't have to have every number one contendership be for a premium live event. It can be for a TV show, and you can do a quick TV program with it. And I think it would work great with Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed and Gunther because then you're still showing, hey, Seth is a threat. He can do this. He can win at any time, except there's an absolute monster stalking him. So get fucked, Seth.
Yeah. There you go. And we got House chiming in. Only way I could see them doing something like Reed running in Rollins' house is if they drag this feud to Mania, which that's not happening because Punk will be Seth's main.
I agree that it's going to be Punk Seth at Mania.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Punk Seth at Mania, and this is a stepping stone for Seth to put over another guy. Mm-hmm. And he already put him over once, and he didn't even have to take a pinfall. No. So imagine when he does take the pinfall. I think it's far more likely that this fatal four-way is going to end with Seth Rollins getting attacked by Bronson Reed because it's no disqualification, so Bronson can do whatever he wants. But I do think Seth winning is intriguing because you can have him get screwed out of an actual title match instead of a potential title match.
I think that is a good level of we're giving you more, like you were saying earlier, without giving you too much. I think that might have to be the level, which kind of ruins our what we were talking about in the private chat, that Dom was going to win tonight.
I still think Dom's going to win tonight.
He
I was
could.
going to transition to this.
Again, TV feuds are a thing.
Yes.
PLEs are spaced apart. You could have Dominic Mysterio face for the title in between. You could even, if you want to take another person from that fatal four-way, let's say Damian Priest, out of the top of my head, which we can go into the next subject if you need. But Dom wins this part, and he wins this by crook. And then you can still set up Damian Priest and Gunther, because is he just holding this title? Like, what are we doing with Damian Priest?
That is interesting, and Kevin alluded to it. This is the subject from last week that we put off to this week, and we got Damian Priest here. Thanks for holding my title to the one and only Gunther, which, like we've been talking about for a couple minutes now, there is a big fatal four-way for the number one contendership tonight. We have Damian Priest, obviously, is in it. You have Dominic Mysterio, Seth freaking Rollins. Who's the fourth?
Sheamus.
Sheamus, yes. And Sheamus, which Sheamus is an interesting plug in there because he has been having quite a bit of a uptick in the Sheamus stock. I mean, I know you guys are seeing it. He's doing it in his matches alone. Also in his performances backstage, his promo work. It's him. He's really making you remember what was great about Sheamus back in the day when he was that new guy, when he was that, big monster that was coming up and we were seeing him tear people apart. But I'm going to put my chips in the Dominic Mysterio market. Dirty Dom. I just have a feeling. Only because what is Survivor Series about? What is the biggest draw to Survivor Series? War games.
Oh, I was going to say Survivor Series elimination tag match.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm just nostalgic.
Yes, you are nostalgic.
I think we all are.
That is what it was.
It's War Games now. You're right. You're right. I hate that you're right, but you're right.
Yes. Does the main event title match, like, if does a title match mean something on that PLE? Of course it does. But is it the most important thing on that PLE?
It is.
Absolutely not.
Never is.
So therefore you could plug Dominic Mysterio into this, which would set up, because you would have obviously Rhea screw him over, even though he doesn't need it. I mean, Gunther would tear him apart in a ring, but she comes out, she messes with him, and then we get our intergender match that we've all been knowing they're going to do, because she has now pushed Dominic to his limit. She has taken away something that he could have held with his new girl, both being title holders, and then whatever you're going to do with Raquel. But you see, that's where I'm at in the story. So you guys want to discuss that part?
So
yes.
I'm gonna say it's too big of a thing to blow an intergender match this early. Why not have it at Mania?
Well, that's what I'm saying. We lead up to it from there.
But if we're doing that at Survivor Series, how are we going to keep it interesting until Mania? Right now, they've written Rhea off.
Very true.
And you can keep her off until, let's say February.
Okay.
And then you can start building up that intergender match as the first time in 10 years or however long it's ever been that we've had an intergender match in WWE. Because I think a WWE WrestleMania intergender match is a huge draw.
Yeah, it is. It would be too, especially with these two.
So but the other thing that I have with the Dominic and Gunther match is, who is the babyface? Because Gunther has said some abhorrent things about everybody. And
true.
Dom can't get a word in without getting booed. So someone is going to be the de facto face in that match. So someone is going to get hurt.
But haven't we been talking on the Sunday house party that, well, Jones, I know he's been bringing it up. This section of their group is the babyface of the group. Liv, Dominic,
I don't
and
think
now
Dom
Raquel.
is a babyface though.
No, he's
I
not.
think I understand. I understand exactly where you guys are, but
I think y'all are taking this in a way like IWC ways of like, we love it here, baby.
Grun, get the fuck out of the camera. Jesus Christ. No one wants to see those blue eyes that
Dude,
close. Look, this is what
I'm checking to see if there's any IQs left.
I feel these are the same looks because I run into this problem a lot too where I'm looking at things. These are the same people that go, hey, MJF, we love MJF. Taking an AEW step from it. But MJF, like to a common man, is the hugest heel available.
Very true. Very true. I understand exactly where you guys are coming from. But what I'm saying is they are trying to push it in front of you. Like, this is what it's going to be. And you have the Liv Morgan effect. You just have it. Because she's linked up with him. He is accepted by a bigger part of the audience. Maybe not everybody.
I don't think it's the bigger part of the audience. It is some part of the audience, but I don't think it's the bigger part of the audience.
Look, the people booing him are just louder than the people cheering him. That's all it is.
Means it's bigger.
Well, no, maybe they're just.
That is my audible definition.
Look, I am in the absolute spin zone right now. So I'm going to spin anything I can to get my point to look the best. See, here we go. Grizz Gaming agrees with me. They are just more vocal about their hate.
I'm pretty sure that means heel.
Well, I don't know, Kevin. I love it. I love it. Yes.
They only hate him more because he's louder.
Exactly. I mean, if they wouldn't give him a mic, people probably wouldn't boo him. You wouldn't hear the boos.
Probably. But
that's something we could go look at too. Grund, I know you're chomping at the bit.
Yeah, because the obvious answer is Gunter, because yes, Gunter has said some very nuclear things since his feud with Damian Priest. But this is Dominic Mysterio, and I feel like this is a chance for Gunter to make jokes and the crowd to laugh along, because they think it's hilarious that Dominic's going to be fighting Gunter when it's like, Dom, you're not Sami Zayn, the underdog from the underground. You're not Cody Rhodes. You're not Damian Priest. Like, you kicked your dad in the balls. You disrespected your father that we love so much, and you betrayed and turned on Rhea Ripley. Okay, there is no love for Dom, so Gunter can
disagree with
all
you.
the.
Of course, Jones would. He's probably high right now.
Oh my God! Shots fired by the Chaos guy. He's letting Jones know we know about you.
Listen, I'm a whiskey and a half deep. I don't have time. I don't have time for Jones's wild speculation that Dom is a face.
Oh man, you got to be in on one of those when he goes in and tries
Oh
to
my God, he
convince us
does
that
go
Rhea
in.
is the issue with everything. It's horrible.
But yeah, I think just to wrap it up a little bit, because I want to get to Grun's thing too.
Yeah.
I think it's problematic to have a heel versus heel dynamic for that. So I think your choices are going to end up being Sheamus, Seth, or Priest. And I think the one that makes the most sense is Priest, because that's the one that you want to keep pushing, at least as a heavyweight title contender. Sheamus and Seth can slot in there whenever they want, but Priest still needs the looks.
No, you're more level-headed with that assessment of this. Grund, you got any final words so we can get to your goddamn topic?
You know what? Like, I I really don't know which direction this Fatal 4-Way is going to go now. I think some good points have been made. I think some good ideas have been thrown out. So the Fatal 4-Way is going to be interesting to see what happens.
A wait and see moment for
Mhm.
Grun. All right. Well, Grun, why don't you hit us with what you want to discuss with the old Grunmeister and his blue eyes and his villainness?
Yes. So the Miz and the Final Testament had a segment last week on Raw, and it was in response to the previous week where Paul Ellering protected the Miz from Uncle Howdy by taking the mandible claw in his place. After the show the previous week, Karrion Kross with the Final Testament told Miz, "You owe us. You need to go find Uncle Howdy and the Wyatt Six." Later on social media, we found out that the Miz didn't find the Wyatt Six, but the Wyatt Six found the Miz, and that is this week. This past last week on Raw that they found the Miz, and honestly, the best part of this whole thing is Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux quote out on social media that went about 20 minutes after they found out that the Miz was taken. Karrion asks, "Well, how long ago was he taken?" Scarlett says 20 minutes. Karrion just nonchalantly says, "Oh, well, he's definitely dead. He's definitely dead. There's nothing to read. Like, do we
Nothing to be
really
done.
like really
He's dead.
do I have to I got to put my coat on and
That's a lot of stuff to do. Especially look for the Miz.
There are a lot of barriers between leaving the house and saving Miz.
Yeah, there's so many. What if the Uber doesn't show up on time?
I'm saying.
I picked this out because like for a long while we were saying the Final Testament isn't working. We don't know why we should care about Karrion Kross, and it's like and finally they're making us care about Karrion Kross. They're finally making us care about the Final Testament, and they're showcasing that what I've seen in interviews where Karrion Kross has been more Kevin Kross. That's
Yeah.
right.
I mean, he's definitely been more himself when it comes to interviews, and like I admitted to, I'm starting to understand what the allure of Cross is. I mean, Karrion Kross, I just didn't get it. But it's that whole goth thing. Like I've seen it so many times, and honestly, the Brood did it the best, and it's kind of hard to go anywhere from that. But I get where they're coming from. He is entertaining. He carries himself well outside of the ring, and he also can continue a story. I personally love this interaction with the Wyatt Six and the Final Testament. I think that's a very smart play with WWE. But I got a co-host over here, Kevin Calloway, who knows way more than I do about this stuff. So go ahead, Kevin.
I'm going to question one key thing.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
What if the Wyatt Six doesn't care about Final Testament?
I agree.
What if they only care about the Miz?
I believe that is their target. I believe the Miz is their current target, and they don't care about Final Testament. I believe that what this is we have the Miz. He turned on R-Truth, and so Uncle Howdy, he wants the Miz. He needs to teach the Miz a lesson, not the Final Testament. Final Testament, or then keep themselves involved in the New Day split that may or may not be happening. Eventually, Woods does turn on Kofi, regardless of whether Biggie shows up or not, or returns or not. And then Wyatt Six, they go after Xavier Woods, and eventually Karrion Kross, he's getting mad because now he thinks that if he can take out Uncle Howdy, he'll finally be important. That the Final Test people will finally start taking Final Testament seriously, because Like that's kind of thing. Like people don't take Final Testament
It
serious.
might be more subtle than that, though. Instead of it
Maybe.
just, hey, they'll take us more seriously, it's, hey, these assholes are stopping all of my silver-tongued devilry.
Mm.
Okay.
I would like
Yeah.
to be able to sow these seeds of doubt and destroy all of these things. Why do you keep destroying my destruction? It's something along those lines, because it's very clear that Karrion Kross's motive is it's not to get people onto his side.
No.
He
No,
just
he
wants
left.
them against each other.
Yeah. He likes the chaos.
He
I
just
have
what?
called-
Yeah,
Yes.
Kevin Cross is very apt because he just wants them to absolutely live in destroying each other. He wants to say, "Dance, puppets, dance," and that's what his character is now, and I love it. I love every single second of it, because now they're finally putting it into light where it works. They're finally
Very
putting
true.
it into light where we can do something with it. And ironically enough, it has supplanted, maybe not supplanted, that's the wrong word. It has filled the void of what the Fiend was. Because the Fiend, when he faced people, they would always change afterwards.
That is a key point right there. I like that, Kevin. Grun, we're putting a pen in it, so you
Hey,
just
just
okay. One more, Grun.
comment.
One comment.
It's his thing.
I call Karrion.
It is.
I call Karrion Kross the evil therapist. That is his character, the evil therapist.
I like
It's Sean
it.
O'Hare.
I like it.
Sean O'Hare's devil's advocate.
Yeah, but with the ability to actually have charisma and carry it and just not be big. I loved Sean O'Hare, but he was just big.
In fairness, Sean O'Hare was charismatic until he got into a ring.
Oh, that doesn't sound
You know
good.
what?
Bell rang at some point.
You know what? Man, Whiskey Kevin is definitely the Chaos Goblin. That guy definitely comes out. And speaking of the Chaos Goblin, Kevin, let them know where they can, find all the chaos that you produce.
You can find me on Facebook at Kevin Calloway. You can find me at Instagram at Kevin Calloway, or actually, I think it's Calloway Kevin. I was just notified today. I'm going to have a stream next Monday for the charity of for Veterans Day. Someone reached out to me to do a stream, so I'll be streaming from around 3:30 till 6 before we start up, and I will be doing that on my channel at twitch.tv/Kevin Calloway Pro. And then I think throughout the week, I'm going to try and plan more streams in support of Veterans Day.
Awesome.
Along those lines as well, I will be at Capital Pro on Saturday, and I will be defending my lone tag team titles. They're the only titles I hold against, I believe, those effing guys. So get to come home with another nice victory, another nice W. So
I like
that'll be nice.
I like the confidence too.
Other than that, that's about where you can find me these days.
That's awesome. All right, you got Lulu gonna tune in for your stream, man. Yeah. Definitely advise everybody to go out there and check out what Kevin Calloway's doing. You're going to enjoy it. I've sat in on a couple of his streams. It's a fun time. You're going to
I'm doing it with people this time, so it's even more chaos.
It's even going to be more. Thank you, Ken. We appreciate that, and we always appreciate you jumping in and watching the show. Thank you for all your support. Now the blue-eyed villain. Everybody, shh, in the chat, be quiet. He's got to have his moment. Go ahead. Let them know where they can find you, Grun.
You can find me at twitch.tv/Grunmeister, where I usually stream Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. I'm not going to be streaming tomorrow night just because, you know what, it's election night. Like, a lot of people are probably going to be a little bit stressed out, really heavy on talking politics. And you know what? I've heard enough from politics. I think I just want to disappear for the night.
Wow. I was going to invite you to stream with me. We can just talk politics all night long until the break of dawn.
Hey, you can stream with me and we can drink till we forget instead.
Hey, there we go. That's the plan. There we go. I like that plan.
Oh, can we
I like
forget
that plan, Grun.
Can we forget till 6 months from now?
Yeah,
Oh God, I wish.
we've already went over this, Grun. You know all about it. But anyways, yeah, we got the Lou. He's chiming in with you. He's with you, Kev. We got so many shows going here over at IYH, and we are getting ready to send you off to Raw, but you got to stay tuned because you got to be here next week where we do it all over again. It's every Monday at 7 p.m. You can join me, Kevin Calloway, and the Grunmeister where we cover Raw. It's two subjects that we generally talk about, open up to everybody, have it going. And then my co-hosts, they take over and they have their own subjects. If you were here, you know what I'm talking about. And if you've seen it before, you know what I'm talking about. But, just catch up. It's not that hard of a show. You can follow along. Anyways, so you could jump over on Wednesdays and catch the Raw Deal with House and O'Neill, where they talk about everything that we talked about. And they tell you what we got wrong. I think we're doing pretty good. We got a pretty good run. So, I haven't heard anything from the boss yet, or you haven't heard anything from your boss, Kevin. So
I think we're 83% spread based on
I think so too. That's good. You know what? Come to us for all those tips. But you can catch them, and it's going to vary a little bit. There's personal things going on with schedules, so just bear with us. But that's on a Wednesday. You'll catch it. And then on Friday, you can join me and House, where we go extreme for the ECW watch along. It's a fantastic time. We are in the storyline of ECW Hardcore TV, and it is just getting great. We are in October of 97, so come join us, have some fun. Like I said, we might have a big surprise for everybody out there in the household, focused generally around this ECW watch along. So stay tuned for that, for any updates that we got. Also the Sunday house party. That's where anybody who's available in the household, we jump in and we talk wrestling. We usually talk about the whole week. It could be anything. Fans usually just start talking about random stuff and we jump into it and we have a good discussion. So join us all there. You also got Grun, you said all your stuff, right? Your Friday night SmackDown. All right.
Yep.
I wasn't sure, Grun. Sometimes I get lost in your blue eyes, but everybody knows that they're here every week getting lost with you. Don't do that again, Grun. That was scary. But anyways, we absolutely adore. Yes, we got to scare somebody. We absolutely adore you guys joining us, and we are going to send you off to Raw. I know it's a little 2 minutes too late, but you know what? Just pipe down and mellow out and join us for the next Window Lickers.